Well, here we are, part 6 today, and today is, part 6, we have 5 days. We have 5 days to have this motor all together in this car and loaded on a trailer and headed to Alabama. 5 days. So, yeah, we better get to work. We got a lot to do. Y'all need to listen faster. I don't know. So let's look at what we're doing. So as we start putting the cam in, a lot of people are going to tell you that you don't have to do it on a roller motor, but I do put this bearing guard assembly lube all the way down it, rub it around a little bit. A lot of people tell you you don't need to do that with a roller cam, but let's be honest, you've already got the stuff. It's not going to hurt anything, and a little added protection is not a bad thing. So it's perfectly fine to put a little on here and be very gentle as you're going in so you don't bang none of the journals. And I'm telling you, it's just cheap insurance. It's well worth doing. So sometimes just a little extra is good to do. Nice and gentle, protecting your bearings as you go. Sitting on the next one just like that. Cam is installed, cam plate is on. I just need to snug up these 2 Phillips head screws, and the cam plate is there, it is installed, it is on. Now, what we don't want to do is forget to put our oil galley plugs in. One goes through here and is actually in the back of the distributor, and then there's one that goes right here that also needs to be put in there. So we need to remember to put those in, because if you don't and you stick the ammeter on and all of a sudden they're hidden, you crank up your motor and you have no oil pressure and you don't know why. Well, you don't have any oil pressure because the oil's just falling out back down into the pan. What builds oil pressure is, well, as it sounds, pressure. And you can't make pressure if you don't plug the hose off. So remember, do not forget these when you do this. So let's keep going. All right, so let's go through the process of, we don't trust our timing marks, and we want to make sure that we're actually truly in time. One of the first things we need to do is know where top dead center is, where true top dead center is, where this piston is exactly at the top of its cylinder. We do that by putting this dial gauge there and rotating it. You see how the numbers are changing? Okay, so let's go back the other way. Ooh, looky there. Oops, see, numbers changed. So we know, well, that, because I've already cleared the gauge and kind of went through this, I cheated just a little bit. We know right there is exactly the center of that. We got a little dwell point there, and we just made it just a hair. Oops, too much. There. So this shows you exactly where top dead center is. So now we know that this piston is actually at the top of its stroke. No guesswork. We know that's there. So then we can use that information to make sure that not only is our chain in the right place, but we can put the cover on here, and now we know that our timing pointer is pointing in the right place. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. All right, so we've absolutely rode the struggle bus on this here for the last few minutes, and actually, no, we bought the struggle bus, remodeled it, lived in that sumbitch, and took a loss on it when we sold it. But we're back on track. I lost the footage of us degreeing in the cam and all that, part of the struggle bus, but let's look. So our timing chain set is on. Everything's degreed in. We know exactly where top dead center is. We got our balancer marked. You did get to see that. The cam is degreed in. We've got our chain in. New double roller timing chain. See, so that's done. Now it'll just be buttoning up this front assembly here, getting the oil slinger put on here, the new seal in the front cover done and put on, and then this is done, and then we can move on to the rest of it. But this is something that was supposed to have been a simple 2-second job, and as you can imagine, we struggled with her, fellas. We struggled with her, but we're over it now. All right, so we stuck our balancer on here. We get our top dead center. We get that set like I showed you, and then we want the pointer to point at the 0 here, and it's hard to see on this one, but basically what I can tell you is it's not pointing at 0. 0 should be right in here, and it's pointing down here. Now that doesn't seem like much, but I want mine dead on. Now there's a good reason why it's like this. This is the aftermarket balancer I've run for a while. Early on, it came with its own tab that goes on. Early on, this tab got damaged. So I'm running a factory tab with an aftermarket balancer. And their marks are just a little off, and it's because of the shape of this is how it's cut. So here's what we do to correct that situation. Our friends at Summit once again. We'll pick up these timing tapes for harmonic balancers, part number 8985. These are made by MSD. It doesn't matter. Every company makes some, and you find the one that is right diameter for your harmonic balancer. Now this one is a 7.5 inch diameter, so we'll use this one right here. Okay, so there it is. Now we got the MSD timing tape on there. We're dead on our 0 mark, and I've left it down here so I set it up so this point right here, and I moved it just a hair, you can see that. But so this point right here points right at 0 when you're looking straight down on it with a timing light. Right there, so that points right at 0. So now I'll be able to see, as I go by my numbers, where it is. Again, keep in mind you're looking at it from this angle right here. Not this angle, not this angle, but you'll be looking down in the motor at this angle right here, so that it makes this my dead 0, and now I can time the motor. And I do run about 36 degrees of timing, somewhere between 34 and 36, so I need to be able to see these. Well, we've definitely been on struggle bus today. Progress got made, but not the kind of progress we wanted to make. The front is now assembled. It has a timing chain cover on it. It has a timing chain in it. Galley plug is in there. Oil slinger. Balancer is on. So progress got made. Not where we want to be, but it's where we are. It just means tomorrow we have to work harder. Because I want this motor done tomorrow. I want it done. Together, done, sitting on a stand, ready for the car, ready for everything else I got to do. And I still got to get the oil panning off that motor, but I got to put it on that engine stand, and I'm missing 2 bolts to do that. Part of that whole struggle bus thing we've been on today. So we're working on it. We're getting there, and just got a couple little things to do. 5 days left. I've had this car apart before every race this season so far. Completely apart. I know trying don't win, but if it did, it'd be hard to compete with us, because we're throwing everything we got at it. Not gonna really say much about that motor, except that it should be the highest horsepower motor we've ever built, and it'll be a large gap between it and this wore out motor that we had in it to survive a few races till we got parts for that one. And yeah, we got to get back to work, so y'all need to listen faster. We'll be in Alabama, hopefully loaded for bear, and let's see what happens. It should make the fastest passes this car's ever made. But everybody out there is getting faster, so I don't know what that means. But what I do know is that we're going to be there in Alabama this coming weekend, and we have thrown everything, including the kitchen sink, the bathtub. We even took saws on, just went ahead and cut the whole bathroom off and threw the whole thing at the car. And let's see what it does. I'm throwing everything I got at it. So we're going to be ready for Alabama, despite all of this mess that you see. Yeah, we'll be ready. I got to get back to work. So the next thing on my list is we went through and threaded and tapped every one of these oil galley plugs down through here. Normally they have little push-in caps like this, but we're going to threaded plugs like this. Alright, they're all in. Now the oil galleys are all plugged like they're supposed to be. Modifications have been done to the block, not the heads, like we talked about earlier. Let's get the heads cleaned up, smack the heads on, and let's get this thing looking like a motor. So now comes a critical measurement. Piston to valve clearance, how close your valve is to the top of your piston as it cycles. There's a tolerance that you need. They make stuff to do this with. My stuff of choice is the old-fashioned Play-Doh. I'm going to use the red-orange flavor today, and we'll pack it in right here. We'll stick the head on, 2 push rods on, and we will cycle this thing and get a measurement of these two, and I'll show you how that's done. So this is what I do. I take and pack it over this valve relief area. So it's packed down there. It's actually a little thicker than it needs to be, but I should get a good valve impression when I cycle the motor. Next we set the head. Right, so the head's on, and I'm gonna just take 2 bolts, probably here, and I'm just gonna run it down so it just touches the head finger tight, here and here. And that'll be good enough for what we're going to do. Okay, so I put 2 push rods in, put the rockers on, and I set the valve lash on those 2. And now I just take a bar and I rotate the engine. And let these valves open and close. Okay, so after we pull the heads off, we're left with something like this, an indentation where it is. So what we'll do is we'll cut this in half on both sides. Measure the thickness in the middle, and that will tell us how far it is from our valve to our piston valve clearance. So that's how we do it. We slice it. This is come off of this side, slice it in half, and then that right there is a profile of our valve relief right in there. That tells you exactly how much valve clearance we got. And as you can see, mountains of clearance. Mountains of clearance, which means we done everything right. When putting on head gaskets on FE, you see one side has a cutout for the water flow, the other side doesn't. Now, if you know, you know, but if you don't know, if you look, it's kind of hard to see, but you'll see front stamped on the gasket. Pretty self-explanatory. Front goes to the front. Your water passages are open in the back. Blocked in the front. Pretty simple concept. So now it's time to torque the head bolts down. Now me personally, this is how I do it. These are supposed to torque at 90 foot-pounds. I start about 45 foot-pounds, run through the torque sequence, and then jump up to the 90 foot-pounds and run through the sequence again. Then the sequence that I use is I do the 2 in the middle, 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, and then repeat. You do that so that you're tightening the head down evenly and not warping the head as it goes down or twisting. So let's get these head bolts torqued down.
first round. All 45 foot-pounds now, so the first round is there. Now I will adjust my torque wrench and come back and do them all one more time up to the 90 foot-pounds. Maybe some folks that doubt the validity of the fact that that motor was just junk that I throw together to get to the track. But then you look at the fact that oil is running out of a couple of cylinders on the heads. Yeah, I'd say she was pumping a little oil past the rings there, boys. Just a little bit. Alright, so here it is. Both heads are on, both heads are torqued down. We have mostly an assembled long block. The next thing I will do is put my lifters in, put everything up, roll my lifters, put my lifters all in. I'll go ahead and paint these heads again. They need another coat of paint. Actually, I still got to put the freeze plugs in, so I need to do that while it's here. A couple of little things I need to do. But the next thing you see, you will see the intake going on. The intake is still laying right there. I need to clean it up, and that'll be the crowning jewel on top of it. And then we'll just be sticking the oil pan on. I know I'm doing it last. It's fine. It's no big deal. I'll set the chair out there, put the oil pump on, drive in, all that stuff. It's not like it's a big deal. So, yeah, there we are. She is almost an assembled motor. So here we go. A mostly assembled engine. I still got to put the oil pan on it. Push rods, rockers, valve covers, trigger, a few little things. But a mostly assembled engine. Here's what I got to figure out in my head. I've been out and back on something, so take a good look at what it is. And now let me talk about something. So in 1963, when this motor came in that Galaxy, from the factory, it was black with gold valve covers and a gold breather. So that's part of the reason I painted the block and the heads and all that black. I wanted to go with more of an original look. And I've been debating about the intake. I really like a little shiny stuff on my motors. I really do. So I like the aluminum intake. But in the factory, the intake would have been black like the rest of the motor. But again, we're not trying to do a concourse restoration or nothing. We're not trying to restore the car. It is still a race car, and that is still a racy intake. But here's where my dilemma lies. This intake has been on so many different motors. It's kind of lost its nice aluminum color, and it's pretty dingy. So I got a choice. Either I can spend a few hours trying to clean this thing up so it brings back that nice aluminum color, kind of like the what's been hidden under the valve covers here are, or paint it black to match the engine. It would look like an original stock engine in the car. It's kind of the way I'm leaning. I've always been against painting aluminum, whether it be aluminum heads, aluminum intakes. I've always kind of, don't really like the idea of doing that. But, it's something I'm thinking about. I have to kind of wait and see which way my head finally ends up going. Well, let's look at where we're going to end part 6, today's video. And then we'll have a payoff video coming soon with it in the car. Got our adjustable rockers on. I still got to go through and set the lash. The valve cover, we got one of them sitting on for our fallen hero there, Gene Cromer. These valve covers actually came from Gene Cromer. The other one is right there. He actually autographed these valve covers for me. And over the years, you can almost see it right there. This one, the signature is about came off of. The sticker's still on here. So what I done was, we picked up a replacement. Actually, my buddy got this for me. Shout out to him. Found this replacement for me to replace this one that the signature is still real good and legible on. So we can still run our chrome powered by Ford valve covers. We still have one Gene's valve covers on here, and the replacement my buddy found for me will go over there. And there she is. That's her. See it right there. The old and the new. Now, I still got to put the oil pan on. Adjust the valve lash. Put the distributor in, valve covers on, oil pan on, fuel pump on, oil filter adapter. All simple little stuff that needs to go on. But we're going to end this part right here for a couple of reasons. But first, you can see what won out here. The intake's mounted down and it's still aluminum. I'll explain that. So there's a couple of reasons we're going to end it right here. One, the motor's mostly complete and there's very little for me left to tell you anything about it or show you anything about it other than the valve adjustment, which I'll do in the next part, the last part, the final part, whatever you want to call it. And we'll go through that. Right now they're just kind of stuck on there. That's one part. Second is, I do this video with my phone. I got a new phone coming tomorrow, and it's going to be a whole lot easier for me to end it now and start fresh with a new phone instead of trying to figure out how to get video from two different. And as if on cue, my phone shut down, and we had to give it a minute, persuade it against the wall a little bit, call it a few names, and it's miraculously back on. So we're going to end this part right here with a almost complete motor. We're going to end this part right here. This is part 6. Hope you guys are enjoying the series, and hope you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share the videos. And we'll be back with the final part. This motor will be ready to go in the car at some point in time tomorrow. Only a few minor little details left to go, and it will be ready to go in the car tomorrow, and we will be loading it on the trailer Thursday to get ready to go to Alabama for the race. Completely untested, but completely normal. So till next time, God bless y'all. Stay tuned.